Hey everyone, welcome to the video. I hope you all are doing well. In today's video, we are going to take this compact and see if we can repair the horrible sun damage. So let's take a look at it and see what we can do. Alright, so if you saw last week's video, then you know I got this compact for $6 and I was looking for a project. I thought the sanding method to get rid of sun damage that Holly from Holly Pocket Vintage Toys had showed was an interesting idea, and so I kind of tucked that idea away in the back of my mind should I ever need it. The inside was fine, no issues there. So I feel like I should just go ahead and pause the video here and warn you about something so you're not disappointed later. That green logo, it is still here at the end of the video. I know that is disappointing, but I just don't know how to get in there. If anybody has any suggestions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, the green logo is here to stay as a tribute, a memorial to this compact's past. Its sunshine-filled days it used to have. It probably should have slapped on some sunscreen at some point, but oh well. So here I'm just kind of pointing out some of the defects I notice in the compact, and I am just hoping that these will be gone once I sand the compact. Now first, my husband suggested I try baking soda. It's an abrasive, so I figured why not? It might work. Well, spoiler alert, it doesn't. It did do a nice job of removing that scuff mark though. After one pass at it, it kind of looked like it was working, or maybe it was just that haze that baking soda leaves. In any case, I figured I'd just try some more. Again, kind of looks like it's working, but who can really tell? Better try again. Is it working? Is it not? It definitely looks like a lighter shade of green. I couldn't really tell, so I gave it another go. At this point, I realized that even if it is working, it isn't working fast enough, and I do not have time for this. So I finally brought in the sandpaper. Now this is where I tell you that I have no idea what I'm doing. Remember what I said about tucking away Holly's idea in the back of my mind? Yeah, that's pretty much where it stayed. I didn't really refer to the video when I was doing this. As a result, I kind of jumped around from grit to grit, not really going from coarse to fine like you're supposed to, but rather kind of going at it all willy-nilly like. I started with a 400 grit because I was a little too afraid to go any lower than that and cause really deep scratches in the compact. Of course, later on, that will change. Also, I apologize for the audio quality kind of jumping around. I recorded the commentary in 2 different rooms, so that's why it sounds different at different times. After one go of it, it does seem to be getting the job done. You can definitely start to see the green fading a bit. So we keep going. I tried both dry sanding and wet sanding. I don't even know if most of my sandpapers were specifically wet or dry sandpapers. I know one did indicate it was wet, so that would probably mean the others were dry since they didn't say anything. Can you use water with dry sandpaper? Does it make a difference? We've already established here that I have no clue what I'm doing, so I don't know, but it's a thing I did. Here I'm just showing the difference between the sanded part of the compact and the back that is nice and blue so that we can kind of see where it's going and where it needs to be. I did end up cutting out quite a bit of footage here. I was just using that 400 grit sandpaper for a really long time, and it was getting results. It just wasn't going very quick at all. I'll go ahead and take this opportunity now to say that I do know there are other methods for repairing sun damage. It's just that I really wanted to try this method, and I already had the sandpaper and I didn't want to have to buy anything extra to fix this compact. It's definitely getting a lot closer to the original blue color, but I wanted to speed this process up as much as possible. So this is when I brought out the 220 grit sandpaper, which is a lot more coarse than the 400. And almost immediately you could start to see that blue really start to come through. It's definitely starting to look a lot closer to its original color, so I just kept going with the 220. Again, I cut a lot of footage out here because it just took a really long time and it would be a really long video if I added it all. But after a while of sanding, it is starting to look good. There's still a halo of green there, and of course significant scratches that I'm just hopeful I'll be able to repair in the end. But it's looking really good. The color is getting really close. I added some paper towel between the compact just to protect the stickers and the inside from any water that might get in. And if you notice those bubbles, it's because I added soap. I knew at one point Holly had used soap during sanding, so I threw some of that in for good measure. I thought the compact was looking pretty good at this point. I mean, obviously some big scratches still that need to be fixed. But other than that, overall, it was looking good. It was just a matter of all around the edges and the hinge and areas like that and around the logo that still needed a little help. The color compared to the back of the compact was starting to look really good. Here is when I tried to really start focusing in on the area around the logo. It did pretty good. There's still a little bit of green around it, as you can see, and it left significant scratches. I also tried to get the clasp just a little bit more. It had a bit of green on it as well, so I was just trying to get rid of that as much as possible. I also did a little bit more work to the hinge area. Now, this is where I told myself I was done. I was happy with the results. Sure, there was still some green left, but who cares? Oh, the lies we tell ourselves. I started applying Novus, which is a 3-step process and usually would be done as the finishing touch. It's supposed to get out smaller scratches and restore shine. After applying Novus, a person would be done, but we're clearly not. Just look at how much video we have left. So just sit tight because this actually happens multiple times. I tell myself I'm happy with it, and then I go back for more. It's embarrassing, really. So here I am showing off what I thought was the finished product. There's still significant damage, significant scratches, still quite a bit of green. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera here, but there still is just quite a bit of green that I thought I was fine with. But eventually I was not, so I ended up going in with a 280 grit nail file just to try to get in all of those harder to reach areas like around the logo and the hinge and the clasp. I also tried to go around the edges some more just to try to get rid of some of that residual green that seemed to be left behind. And by now it was starting to look better. The green had faded significantly, and again I thought I was done, so I started with the Novus again. Then surprise, surprise, I was back at it again with sanding and the whole novice cycle. I told you, it's embarrassing. And it honestly was starting to look pretty good, and I was really happy with it. That is, until the next morning when I decided that that little bit of green was still really bothering me and I wanted to get rid of it. I wanted to make it the best I absolutely could. I didn't want to give up until I was totally done. So at this point, I had actually kind of learned a thing or two about using sandpaper, and I started with the coarsest sandpaper I had, or well, the coarsest one I wanted to use, and worked my way up into the finer sandpapers. See, I do learn. It takes a while, but I do eventually get there. And I was finally actually starting to be happy with the results I was seeing. So at this point, I decided to go in with the finest sandpaper that I had, which was a 2000 grit, and just try to polish this up as much as I could. So this is the point where I decided to finally stop sanding and apply Novus for the very last time. Maybe the point at which you would stop is different from mine. Maybe you would have gone longer, but that's okay. This was it for me. By now, I was very tired and I was running out of weekend and I really wanted to do something else with my time. And I was honestly very happy with how it looked. Overall, sure, there was still a little bit of green left, but it wasn't too bad. I was pretty pleased with everything about it. But we weren't totally done yet. This is the part where I might make some people mad. I am going to paint on the logo with this silver paint marker. A lot of people don't like using paint on the logo, and I get it, but it really doesn't bother me. Through the whole sanding process, I was not trying to remove any of the silver, but it did get rubbed off completely from the circle around the logo. So I wanted to try my best to repair it. The silver paint pen is a pretty close match, though it does of course dry a little less shiny. So to both protect the paint and bring back some shine, I used a gloss Mod Podge over the top. I realize the set is not perfect. There are still bits of green here and there, and now that it's over a week later, I honestly considered going over it again and getting rid of all of that green, and someday I might get a wild hair and decide to do that. I just didn't have the time or the energy to do it this week, but honestly, someday I probably will. So there we go. That is the final product, at least for now, and I'd say it's pretty good. The side-by-side is pretty remarkable. So while the set still isn't perfect, at least for now, what I set out to find out was if the sanding method worked for me. And it does, if you want to take the time and the energy, because it does take a lot of both. It does work and you will get really good results. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are having a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.